You know what? I'm a cheater. You don't know me. I cheated. Her words echoed in my head for years. Then she stood before me, begging. I thought you'd help me. You changed your whole life for me. I just smirked. And after the divorce, I changed it back. So, I'm trying to get some closure here. And I need to know if I was just a complete idiot from the start. Hindsight is 20/20. But looking back, the red flags weren't just flags. They were giant, waving banners that I chose to run right past on my way to the altar. Before we were even married, this gut feeling started. It was small at first, like a pebble in my shoe. I'd notice her phone light up with a guy's name, and she'd angle it away from me just a little too quickly. When I'd ask who it was, the answer was always the same. Oh, just a friend. Or, someone from way back. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the pebble in my shoe started to feel more like a rock. The breaking point, or what should have been the breaking point, was when I finally gave in to that ugly feeling and looked at her phone while she was in the shower. My heart was pounding, and I felt like a scumbag. But I had to know if my gut was lying to me. It wasn't. It was like discovering a secret door to a whole other life. There were conversations with multiple guys, including some I knew she'd had a history with. They weren't just "Hey, how are you" texts. They were full of inside jokes that felt way too intimate. Late-night conversations, and plans to catch up that she'd never mentioned to me. My stomach just dropped. It was the digital proof that the person sleeping next to me was keeping a part of herself completely hidden. When I confronted her, I tried to be calm. I just laid the phone down and asked her to explain. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. First came the tears. Then, like flipping a switch, it turned on me. Why would you go through my phone? I can't believe you don't trust me. Suddenly, the problem wasn't the secret conversations. It was my violation of her privacy. I stood there, holding concrete evidence of her lies. And somehow I was the one on trial. At that moment, I realized my choice was either to cause a massive fight or to accept her narrative. I pushed back, telling her flat out that I wasn't comfortable with my future wife talking to other men like that. Especially exes. She cried more, said I was making her feel terrible. But eventually, she agreed. She promised she'd cut them all off. It's just you, she said. I promise. A few weeks later, I found out she hadn't. I don't even remember how. I think I saw another name pop up. The point is, she broke the promise. And I knew it. But I still married her. I told myself that I was being too harsh, too controlling. I convinced myself that her past didn't matter as long as she chose me for the future. I had this stupid hope that the wedding ring would be some kind of magic barrier, that the commitment would finally make her change. I think the truth is, she didn't change. She just got better at hiding it. My gut was screaming at me, but I chose to listen to my hope instead. I guess that's the foundation of all this. I built a marriage on a crack in the ground, hoping it wouldn't swallow us whole. Was I just naive for believing a promise over the proof? The crack in our foundation stayed a crack for a while. We settled into married life, and things were okay. But that feeling in my gut never really went away. It was just dormant. Then came her trip to Europe. She was going to visit her brother but ended up staying for 2 weeks in a house with her gay nephew, 5 other guys he knew who she also called gay, and one of their sisters. The whole setup felt weird to me. But I didn't want to be the controlling husband. Over the phone, she admitted she was drinking and smoking weed there. Things she rarely did with me. I tried to brush it off. She's on vacation. I told myself. Let her have fun. The day I went to pick her up from the airport, I was genuinely excited. 2 weeks is a long time. I imagined that first hug. That first kiss. The feeling of just having her home. I stood at the arrivals gate, scanning the crowd. When I finally saw her, a huge smile broke out on my face. She was dragging her suitcase, looking tired but okay. I stepped forward, wrapped my arms around her, and leaned in to kiss her. And she turned her head. My lips landed awkwardly on her cheek. Her body was stiff in my arms. It wasn't a hug. It was like holding a mannequin. I pulled back, completely confused. Hey, I said. You okay? She wouldn't look me in the eye. Her gaze was fixed somewhere over my shoulder. I'm fine, she mumbled. I'm just pissed you called my sister to check up on me. I'm not a child. My brain tried to process this, It sent one text to her sister, who she's super close with, just to ask if she'd heard from her and if she was having a good time. That was it. My mind raced. Is that really enough to warrant this? To not even be able to look at me. To dodge my kiss after 2 weeks apart. This wasn't anger. This felt like a wall. A wall she had put up for a very specific reason. The car ride home was silent and heavy. The whole time, my mind was replaying that moment at the gate. Later, as we were unpacking, something else caught my eye. I don't know how to say this without being crude, but I noticed she was freshly shaved. Like, completely. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. My first thought wasn't, oh, that's nice. It was a cold, logical calculation. She just spent 10 hours on a plane. You don't do that for the flight home. You do that for someone you're with. I had to ask. My voice was quiet. So you shaved. She froze. Her back was to me. But I saw her shoulders tense up. She didn't turn around. She didn't say a word. She just picked up a pile of clothes and walked out of the room, leaving my question hanging in the dead air between us. That was the moment the dormant feeling in my gut woke up and started screaming. The cold shoulder at the airport. The flimsy excuse about her sister. And now the complete, silent avoidance of a simple, intimate question. I realized in that silence that this wasn't about old text messages anymore. Whatever I had been afraid of hadn't just been happening over the phone. I was convinced it had been happening in that house in Europe. The trip wasn't a vacation. It was an audition for another life. Am I overthinking this? Or would you see that airport scene and her silence as a confession in itself? The silence in our house that evening was heavier than any argument. The wall she'd put up at the airport was now between us in our own home. I knew what I had to do. And I hated myself for it. It felt like I was surrendering to the worst part of myself. But my gut was no longer suggesting. It was demanding. While she was distracted, I picked up her phone. There was no adrenaline this time. No pounding heart. Just a cold, tired sense of inevitability. And there it was. Not old messages she forgot to delete, but active conversations with 3 different men. Right from that day. I didn't even raise my voice. I walked into the living room and showed her the screen. Who are these guys? She barely glanced at it. I told you. One of them is my best friend. He's like a brother to me. The excuse was so worn out. So lazy. That something inside me finally snapped. A brother. You lie to my face about cutting people off. You come home and act like I'm a stranger. And you expect me to believe the brother excuse. I held up my hand. We're Muslim. I converted for you. I changed my entire life to build something with you based on principles of respect and honesty. You know, this is haram. This is not how it's supposed to be. Her face crumpled into that familiar look of being the victim. She swore she'd delete them all. Right now. I will. She promised. For what felt like the 100th time. But I knew she wouldn't. The promise meant nothing anymore. The fight simmered all evening and finally boiled over on the phone later that night. We were going in circles. Me demanding the truth about her trip. About the texts. And her just repeating that I was hurting her. That I didn't trust her. I was getting louder. More desperate. I just wanted one straight answer. Then, in the middle of my sentence, she cut me off. Her voice was sharp. And laced with a kind of venom I'd never heard before. You know what? I'm a cheater. You don't know me. I cheated. The words hit me like a physical blow. The line went silent. For a solid 3 seconds. The only sound was the faint hum of the phone connection. In that silence, every single red flag, every gut feeling, every lie, and the whole scene at the airport all crashed together and formed a single, undeniable truth. She said it. Just as quickly as she'd said it. She started scrambling to take it back. I didn't mean that. I'm just mad. You pushed me and I said it to hurt you. She stammered. Her voice suddenly frantic. But I wasn't listening to the excuses anymore. I was only hearing the 3 words that mattered. A person doesn't invent a sentence like that out of thin air. No matter how angry they are. That's not a random insult you throw out in a fight. That's a confession. It wasn't a lie said in anger. It was the truth that finally leaked out when she was too tired to keep holding it back. No. I said. My voice barely a whisper. The truth just leaked. So, I'm laying it all out here. From the pre-wedding texts to the cold shoulder at the airport. And finally, to the confession she tried to take back. I tried to build a future on hope. But all I got was proof. My real question, the one I need closure on, is for you guys. Looking at this whole picture, would you have married someone like this? Or would you have walked away at the very first red flag?